Whoa, hold it. Stop right there. Guys, we're reaching our 1-year anniversary for the Game Changer, and as much as I love the X-Men animated series, we can't just keep relying on this theme song for so long. So, without further ado, guys, 1-year anniversary starting this month. It is indeed the Game Changer. Here's the new theme. Enjoy it, and we'll talk to you guys in just a bit. That is what I'm talking about. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another exciting edition of the Game Changer. It is our 1-year anniversary. It is indeed time to change the game. So much happening, you guys. I've already made a couple of announcements on my personal Facebook fan page. For those of you that don't know me right now, for the last year I've made the introduction, and once again I'll do it. I am Nate the Effing Great, and I'm being joined here by the one, the only. Today she's a little bit known as the Sleeping Beauty of the show, and that is indeed Miss VicTori Belle.
That's hilarious. Thank you very much. Yes, how are you doing?
I am doing as peachy and as wonderful as can be. And after everything you've told me that's happened in the last, what has it been, like 12 hours, I can honestly say that I can understand why you're still a little bit restless, but needless to say, it's one of those things where it's like you kind of did bring it on yourself. I mean, laundry at midnight and then decide, you know what, while this is going on, let's watch some murder documentaries. Okay, we're going to be doing this. Okay, let's just get some rest. Okay, murder number 1, back to sleep, murder number 2, this time with multiple personalities. Is this a preview of what's going on today? More than likely. Did I miss anything?
I'm not allowed to watch documentaries about murderers anymore. So I got to stick with the animal ones.
Okay, so checklist here. Scary movies, nope. Murder documentaries, nope. Criminal Minds, question mark.
I watched that, and I don't necessarily like it though, because it's so negative.
Well, there's got to be those series that have the negativeness to it. And I want to also say, as a side note, a lot of people might notice that sometimes we have issues with Skype. I don't know what the connection issue is, but I did notice last night when I immediately turned on the news, I see two people basically just talking, and in the top right corner of one of the guy's screen, I saw it said Skype ran on it, and literally all I thought to myself was, oh great! So basically, in order for us to have Skype to work, we need to talk about negative stuff. So, okay, Skype, you win. Let's start off with the negative, shall we? MoviePass may be going bankrupt. This was a shock to me when my co-host VicTori Belle, she brought this up to me, and I'm like, wait, what? This literally felt like it just started, and literally so many people are enjoying it. And then as soon as I read the reports about them going from, I think they were making quite a few $1 million last year. Then they had their quarterlies come out. They've been losing a lot of money. Their stocks went from like $32 to about 20, maybe 10 cents. And they're trying so hard to actually sell these stocks, and nobody's buying them. So literally, they're reaching a point where they're in the redlined deal, and it's not a good thing. And I really hate to see that because MoviePass is so popular, especially with so many people. It gives us a reason to go see movies again. But I think somebody actually kind of put it in an example that made a lot of sense. It's kind of, with MoviePass, it's one of those situations where if you're paying somebody $10 and they're giving you $15 back, obviously the person that paid you the $15 back is going to start getting into some debts. And I understand that because people who are using MoviePass, they're paying $10 for movie tickets that can cost about like $11, $13.50, $15, wherever you're usually from. Movie tickets are not cheap anymore, and that sucks. And especially when you go post matinee, you definitely notice it goes from like I think $8 to like $11. So a lot of people rely on MoviePass where they're saying, okay, we're going to see like a free movie like every day. It's totally fine, but obviously it sucks because they're losing money because they still have to pay the movie theaters money for the tickets that they're basically selling.
Yeah, I definitely got into the whole MoviePass thing. I have MoviePass, but it's just been going. The reason I got it was because it was such a good deal, and I would hope that the company made some sort of deal with the theaters, like hey, we're going to do movies at this price. This is at the price we need the tickets. And then you get people in your theaters who will buy popcorn and drinks. And that's kind of what I was thinking their deal was. And then they started taking away things. You can't go see some of the newer movies. You can't go see movies at certain times. You can't go to new releases. Like, it's just not worth it anymore. And after hearing that they're kind of going down the tube, it's like, yeah, well, I'm going to cancel my subscription because if I can't go see the new movies I want to go see, it's not worth it for me.
Yeah, and it also kind of sucks because they also have competition with so many other movie theaters that are starting to pick up on, hey, this is working out pretty well. Let's actually start taking advantage of that. I think AMC has this deal where you pay them like $20 a month, and not only do you get, I think, free movie passes, but you also get a certain amount of dollar amount concessions off. Yeah. I know for me, I work with, I go through Marcus Theater, and they have the Magical Movie Rewards program, which basically states that, you can use this card on purchases when you do tickets, when you do concessions, and the points will build up. And once you reach 100, you would get a $5 credit on it. But also, it helps you for movies on Tuesday where you would get free popcorn, half off in concessions, stuff like that. And obviously, MoviePass, they can only deliver so much. And like you said, with them now setting limitations, that's hurting them even more. And it sucks, but at the same time, I think that's out of their control. I think that the theaters are realizing we're kind of losing money with MoviePass, so now we have to set these limitations.
Yeah, I could see the theaters being like, okay, wait, this isn't working out in our favor anymore, and then hurting the other company, which it's all about money, so we get it. I was okay with having to pay extra when it was like the IMAX theater or something. Like, I'd have to pay like $2 extra. But I'm not okay with not being allowed to go see like the new Christopher Robin movie this week because it's too new. Like, what? Like, nah, that's not cool anymore. Because I've had MoviePass now all July, and I don't know if I used it because there wasn't a movie I personally wanted to go see. And now, like, okay, the first one is like Christopher Robin. And I'm like, okay, I want to go see that one. I'm excited. Finally going to go use my MoviePass. And nope, I'm not allowed to go do it. So it's most likely going to get canceled. And I'll just go on $5 Tuesdays.
Well, that's not a bad thing. And we'll see what happens. And maybe we'll touch base on it more when developments come out. Obviously, like I said, the CEO and everybody, they're trying to just scramble to try to get more people to buy the shares at least, so that way they can at least, get some money to last. But something tells you that they're probably not going to make it to the end of the year. I mean, with everything that's dropping, I think another thing that hurts them is the fact that a lot of the movie, members that they have, they pay with credit. So with that credit amount, obviously you can't get it until a certain time until, everything is approved, everything is good to go. So where some people are paying, with debit, obviously they're getting the cash right away. With credit, they have to wait a while for them to actually get that monetary deal. So it sucks for them, but that's kind of the way that business works, unfortunately. But like I said, we'll touch base on this every now and then. If we reach the point where it's basically they're going bankrupt, we'll talk about it on the show. It kind of really sucks because we just had the whole Toys R Us going bankrupt deal, and now we got MoviePass going bankrupt. It's like, man, we can't just have anything good anymore. Just come on. But not exactly the best segue, but it's a very interesting segue because what we mainly want to talk about in this episode is the man, the myth, the director. I would definitely call him a directing legend known as M Night Shyamalan. And honestly, I want to kind of pull up a couple things here. He was actually born in Mahi Pucheria, India, but he actually resides in Willistown, Pennsylvania. First of all, I'm going to say this. I'm not a fan of him just because of the fact that he moved from a really awesome name of a town in India to a place called Willistown in Pennsylvania. I'm sorry, but Willistown doesn't really seem all that cool. That's just a personal preference. I don't want anybody saying that, hey, you're basically hating on him because of the city that he chose. I don't hate him because of that. I'm just saying, Shyamalan, you're not really buying me any favors with just saying, hey, I'm from Willistown. Wow. Awesome. Just awesome. But we're actually going to be talking about some of the works that he has done. Actually, if I can actually do a quick count on some of the movies that he's done. He's actually been directing since 1992. And he's directed about, let's see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, about 13 movies roughly, and 1 television series. So he has quite a bit of credentials on his list. And we're going to talk about a couple of his, some of the stuff that he's directed, whether it's a flop or whether it's something really good. I want to say this as a side note, the fact that he has directed The Last Airbender and he was a part of Stuart Little is honestly mind-blowing to me. And honestly, Shyamalan, just be thankful that we have not decided on a Last Airbender sequel because I'm sorry, dude, but not exactly one of your better works, not gonna lie. But anyway, so let's talk about some of the things that has indeed made Shyamalan either very notable, we'll say. So, Victor Bell, do you want to lead us in the charge here?
Sure. Let's start in Pennsylvania.
How ironic. Karma just slaps me right in the face, only here on the Game Changer.
I heard you talking about it, so I'm like, oh, okay, we'll start there.
Yeah, you guys can't see it, but she literally just gave me that look of like, yeah, what now? And she just had the raise of the eyebrows where it's like, ah, crap, this thing just bit me right in the butt. Great.
So the movie I'm going to start with is his 2004 film called The Village. And we picked, I feel like we picked some of our favorites, but at the same time, I don't know if they're favorites because they're that good or if they're favorites because you're kind of like, okay, I needed to go see this because I needed to figure it out. And now that I figured it out, I'm a little mad at him, but whatever. I feel like that's the kind of director he is, though, except with The Last Airbender, that was just disgusting and awful, and I hope they try that again because I really, really liked the little animation. It was so cute, so good, so well done, and then he ruined it. It's weird. He's better with his own works. But yeah, so The Village came out in 2004, and basically, I like to start off with M Night Shyamalan reviews with like, all right, what the trailer looked like. So basically, the trailer reminded me a little bit of like Red Riding Hood, like there's a girl and the people are in this little village in the woods, and it looks like, the old 19th century. There's not a lot of technology, almost Amish-like, and I believe they are considered Amish. And, they're like, oh, no one leaves the village, no one. And then there's, this monster, and, it's leaving blood on doors and stuff, and you're like, oh, my gosh. This little village is surrounded by monsters. That's why people don't leave. And then we get to the real movie. And the real movie is, it's basically like that. This town that seems to be, in the early 19th century, maybe even late. 19th century means 1800s. Sorry, I have to use my history knowledge sometimes and correct myself. So yes. So the 19th century is the 1800s, right?
Yeah.
Yes. So I'm that's what it looks like, the 1800s. Amish-like outfits, because that's what the 1800s were like. And so it's about this village who is struggling with some disease and stuff, and people are wanting to venture out and look and go see what new things are, and the village elders and everyone who's been here doesn't want that to happen. Is basically telling people, no, if you go out, you die. And sure enough, if people leave, they get attacked, or they get signs from this, porcupine creature in a red cloak. So, the Red Riding Hood type of thing. And you're like, oh gosh, it is pretty creepy. And then, this guy who went out and he had to come back, he gets sick, and it's a little bit of a love story between him and the chief daughter, who she's blind. And so she wants to go to another town to get medicine for him. And finally, they kind of let her go. And the chief, the main guy, one of the main guys, tells her, there is no such thing as the monster. It is our town people. They're dressed up in costume. They're not real. It's not real. And so she goes out and she ends up tricking them and getting them into this hole and hurting the people who are dressing up, and sure enough, it is their own town. And she wants to go and get out, and at the end of the story, it's basically she's getting out of all the woods, and all of a sudden she falls onto this road, and you see cars go by, today's cars, and she's like, what? And she's freaking out because she's never seen this. They never know. They don't know anything, and the cops come and help her. And basically, they were being held in an Amish cult type of thing, that these people didn't even realize that they were in it was 2004, and we thought it was the 18th century, and you're like, okay, this is weird. This is a really weird movie, and there's a lot of twists, a lot of craziness, but at the same time, you're like, what did I get from this? I got nothing. It wasn't an astounding, whoa. It was more what? The monsters weren't real. What? They don't even let, all these people are actually kind of cult people and awful. Okay, this sucks. And what sucks even worse is that the person who gets out is a blind girl, and she can't really help anyone. And then it ends.
I know beforehand, I basically, before we even started recording, I said I'll probably go and watch this movie just to see what it's all about, but the way it's just being described to me, again, it's just one of those things where it's how is this a movie, and why was this even a thing? And
see, it does the thriller thing. It does what M. Night Shyamalan, why you go see his movies is because there's mystery and thrills, and it's a little scary. It's never, really scary. It's more you jump, or you're like, oh my gosh, I don't want to, when is it going to happen? When is the loud noise coming? You know what I mean? Okay. It's like a thriller. And so it did what it was supposed to do. I don't know if I have the results on Rotten Tomatoes or anything for it.
I don't think it's going to be very high, to be fair. And I want to also preface this, guys, I should have said this beforehand, but there are going to be spoilers when it comes to these, obviously, because if you haven't seen the movies, then, well, these have been out for almost 18 plus years. So where have you been hiding under? I know which rock I've been hiding under because I know I haven't seen some of these movies, but at the same time, there's some of these movies I have gotten the chance to see. So thankfully, I haven't been under that rock very long. But yeah, The Village. I know that a lot of people do like parodies and stuff off of this movie just because of the uniqueness to it. I think I do remember. Oh gosh, what was it? I think it was probably like Scary Movie 3 or 4 kind of did like a parody of that where basically Anna Faris and her friend, they're basically just they're trying to figure out things and they just run into the Amish community and people are just like, oh, hey, that's a homage to The Village. And I'm like, wait, what? What exactly is this? Oh, and now after finding out, it's like, okay, this is what the homage is to in that Scary Movie. That, the quote unquote. But,
right. It only got a 43%.
43%?
So.
Well, I mean, we're starting off strong now, aren't we, ladies and gentlemen? With a 43.
It did make a ton of money, though. And that's the thing. Like, you're going to go see it because you need, like, it looks like a great trailer. The trailer was awesome, you know? And I wanted to go see it. Everybody wanted to go see it, even when you figure out, like, it's not that great, but it's the intrigue, and that's what M. Night Shyamalan, I feel like, was, especially back in the day, was really known for, his intriguing trailers, and it's like, ooh, yeah, okay, I want to kind of go see this. It looks pretty good. Then at the end, you're like, oh, that was sucky. But you still got my money, sir. You still got my money.
So it's kind of like one of those movies where, not like what I mentioned before we started recording, where basically it's like, you know, trailer, looks awesome, go see movie, what a waste. It's like, it's one of those things where it's like, okay, I'm a little disappointed, but at the same time, I'm glad I saw it, right?
That's what it was, yeah. I think it's more like that. You're like, yes, you're a little disappointed, but you're glad you saw it, because otherwise you'll be thinking about it. And when people, like, you don't want people to tell you, like, what happened. You're like, okay, wait, I want to go see the movie. And then you're like, oh, I see what you're talking about. Like, oh, this is what you mean. But, like, I still think if you like M. Night Shyamalan movies, like, it's one of the better ones. It just doesn't have the cool twist at the end that he's, like, there's some, like you know, that you're like, holy cow, I had no idea that was happening.
Right, and that's kind of what we're definitely going to be hitting on, the fact is that M. Night Shyamalan is the guy who really tries to make, like, a huge twist to where people will think, like, okay, we know where this is going, but then he just decides, nope, we're going in this direction. It's like,
yeah.
Oh, okay, then this is new.
Right.
So, all right, I think that we'll start with one that's... For on my side, we'll start with one that's a little bit interesting. Definitely one of those movies that we talked about quite a bit last week, but we'll talk a little more in depth on it this week, and that is being one of the first installments of the East Rail 177 trilogy, and that being Unbreakable. When my co-host told me about this movie, I've been told about it so many times by so many people, and I'm like, okay, now I have to finally watch this and see what it's all about. Honestly, I look at this movie, and for some reason, I kept thinking to myself, this reminds me a lot of the movie Wanted because of a few reasons. So you have a guy, Bruce Willis's character, who's basically trying to find himself. Same thing with James McAvoy's character. He's trying to basically find himself. You have this very interesting mentor in Samuel L. Jackson's character, Elijah Prince. Obviously, for Wanted, you have Morgan Freeman playing the role of I think it was Sloan, I think was his name, where he's basically showing, like, hey, this is who you are. This is who, you know, you were meant to be. And, you know, as things go along, you definitely see how deep it gets. Now, obviously, it's more towards the end we find out what Prince's, you know, motivations are. He's basically trying to get Bruce Willis's character, David Dunn, to, you know, realize his full potential. And then Dunn finds out at the end that Prince was the one who organized everything. He organized the train incident. He organized everything in there. Basically, he's just saying, yeah, I'm kind of the villain, but you're kind of the hero to my villain. We need each other. It was kind of almost like a Joker Batman deal, where Joker's just saying, like, I don't want to kill you. I don't want to destroy you. If anything, I want to encourage you to stop me. I don't want you to be gone, because without me, you're nothing. And without you, I'm nothing. It's literally that kind of mindset. It's one of those things where you see that at the end, and it's one of those things where it's like, okay, this is actually really good. Where, obviously, with Wanted, you see that kind of twist happen in the end, where he finds out, well, the group of assassins that he's working for are actually the bad guys, and his dad, who he's trying to find, is actually the good guy trying to end this. And it's really just absolutely amazing how these two almost basically compare so well. But I will give Unbreakable the edge, where they basically have been saying that this is kind of more of a superhero movie feel, but it's not like a typical movie like you would see with Deadpool or the Avengers or Batman and Superman. It's one of those things where it's more just finding yourself and finding out, what you're capable of. And during this movie, David Dunn definitely finds out what he's capable of. I mean, he's able to see, people through visions. He's able to bench press for, 350 pounds. Holy cow. Just absolutely insane how he does this. And basically, Samuel L. Jackson just plays this character so well, where he's basically just saying, no, I want to help you. I want to make you, the best that you can be, because I can't really do this unless I have, some kind of competition. And he doesn't make it very obvious at first. It's not until the very end you definitely do see him basically saying, yeah, I did all this, like I said, because I needed to find you. And it could have been anybody, but in the end it turned out to be David Dunn. And just the reaction that Bruce Willis has, it's just so remarkable, and it's very good, where he basically just is now speechless, and he's just basically like, what have I done? What is going on here? And just, again, seeing basically Prince basically explaining why he did everything. And then we also get the name of Mr. Glass, which, ironically enough, does go into the final installment, but we still have one more installment to go through, which we will get through later on in the show. Honestly, very well done. It had a box office of $248.1 million, and it got a Rotten Tomatoes score of 69%. And even though some people are saying, like, oh, I hate this one right here, where everybody just says, like, well, with a weaker ending, Unbreakable is not as good as The Sixth Sense, but it is still a suspenseful film, and it's, engaging, and it talks to the audience at unpredictable twists and turns along the way. It's like, don't compare this movie to another really good movie. I mean, obviously I did that, but I'm just making the comparisons because, like, okay, these two are very similar, but they still get the same message across. Where it's like, you definitely do find yourself, but you need to determine who are you really going to be. And that's exactly what I think Wanted and Unbreakable really do. But, like I said, Unbreakable does something very different where they're dealing with, superpowers and superheroes. Where Wanted, it's just one guy trying to figure out, who he is. And again, what is he going to become? Is he going to be the next victim for the assassins cult that he's a part of, or is he going to do something about it and follow in his father's footsteps and realize these guys are bad, I need to stop them? Sorry, I went on a little bit of a rant there.
No, it's really fine. No, I definitely think that they probably compared it to The Sixth Sense because it was Bruce Willis too, and you're like, okay, calm down.
That is true.
They aren't all the same movie, but yeah, I totally agree. I liked Unbreakable. Like I said, I think I said this before, it's a little slow, but I think every single one of these movies are a little slow, and that's what a thriller is to me. Like, you're supposed to build up this suspense of being like, okay, what the hell is going on? What the hell is going on? What is this? Why is this important? And that's how you get the reactions that he gets out of a lot of his movies, is that they're a little slow, and you're kind of like lost in all the details. Like, why do we care about this? Why does this guy care? Who is this guy in the wheelchair? And then you're like, oh, interesting. Oh, he caused it all. Wow, thought he was cool.
He does. It's basically one of those things where they do like a slow layer by layer deal, where it's like, okay, basically they're giving you the burger. It's like, here's the bun, here's the patty, here's the cheese, and then basically, they keep building up all this, great ingredients to create this movie, and then top it off, they say, this is what you get. And like I said, it's absolutely amazing how they did it, and definitely one of the best works for M Night Shyamalan. Definitely major thumbs up and major props for this movie. And it does definitely, in my opinion, make me paint Samuel L. Jackson in a different limelight. And it is also one of those things where I think a lot of people definitely notice that with a lot of movies, he still plays kind of like the same character. He doesn't really change too much of his voice. But I think that with this one, it definitely does seem like it's different because of, what he's inspiring David Dunn to do, what his motivations are, and stuff like that. It's definitely a lot different than what I'm used to, because usually he's the action hero, but in this one he's kind of frail, and for obvious reasons, because he was born with glass bones. Hence the reason why he was known as Mr. Glass. So for him to go from this action hero to basically talking about, tie these mother effing snakes on this mother effing plane, to just being this guy in a wheelchair where he's basically more of a psychological guy. It's really well done. Absolutely amazing.
Yeah, I definitely really liked Unbreakable. Unbreakable was one of my favorites. What year did it come out?
2000, actually.
Yeah. Man, M. Night Shyamalan had some killer movies back in the day.
And I believe that you're going to give us another one of those killer movies.
Yeah. Let me pull up my other one. I'm not doing it on my computer because I don't want us to have bad connection. But okay, so the next movie by Mr. M. Night Shyamalan and directed by Mr. M. Night Shyamalan, my choice was Signs. I don't know how many people have seen this one, but I really liked it. And this is with the cast of Mel Gibson, Joaquin Phoenix. Back in the day, they weren't bad people. Joaquin Phoenix was in the last one, too. So he does, M. Night Shyamalan, I think, does have some loyalty with actors that he likes. As we can see, he used Bruce Willis a few times. He uses Joaquin Phoenix a few times. Like, if you do good for him, he'll have you in the next film. But yeah, Abigail Breslin is in this when she was very, very young. And basically, this movie, it's going to be hard for me to just explain it, but I can do this. We got this. So this movie is an alien movie. It's one where he does sci-fi aliens instead of monsters or ghosts or creepy things like that. This is going to be aliens. And it's about this family who loses their mom.
Loses their mom. Oh, that, yeah. Okay, I think I remember this. So loses their mom. You mentioned loses their mom. I think I do remember this because this was again another homage that Scary Movie did, where basically instead
yes, they definitely did this one.
Instead of Mel Gibson, it was Charlie Sheen because they needed the comedy.
Yes. So it kind of This movie goes through this sequence. It's almost like a dream sequence of his last moment with his wife, Mel Gibson's last moments with his wife, and she gets in a terrible car accident where she's basically held together by a car. She was walking and a car slams her into a tree, and her body is like cut in half basically, but she's still able to speak. And so we go through this movie and we're getting more pieces of what she says. And then all of a sudden, like the beginning of the movie, like he's a farmer. They're on a farm, and people are making these, like, designs in the corn. And it's like a big, it's a big, like, oh my gosh, people are doing these cornfield signs, like this is awful, crop circles and stuff. And then it's happening all over, and they end up noticing that it's all over, and they're actual, like, coordinates and stuff. And it's for a reason. People are aliens are coming, and aliens are creating these crop circles, and that's a thing that, a lot of people, like, think that aliens do, like, crop circles, ooh. And so aliens start coming to Earth and, like, seeing and, like, kind of testing things out. That's what the idea is in this one, is that they're coming to test to see if Earth is a good place for them. And you get little pieces of the puzzle through going back to Mel Gibson's dream sequence of, you get, like, his brother used to be a professional or a semi-pro baseball player. You're like, oh, cool. Abigail Breesling, his daughter, has an issue with water. Like, she literally, like, thinks water tastes bad sometimes. So around the house, there's, like, water cups everywhere because she has to go and get a new water cup, like, every time. Like, they have weird issues, and you're like, why does this freaking matter? And then, like, his son has asthma really bad. So anytime they, like, are freaking out or something, like, he has really, really bad asthma. And so we get to the point where we're about to see the aliens. Like, oh my gosh, there's an alien here at their house. And so it's Mel Gibson, Joaquin Phoenix, his brother, and then the two little kids. I'm pretty sure if there was another person, then I'm totally forgetting about that. But basically, those are the important people of the family who we're following. And, like, it's the main portion. Like, it's like, oh my gosh, the aliens are in the house. What are they going to do? They got to defend themselves. And you kind of get the final, like, sequence of him with his wife, which she's like, I don't know her exact words because I haven't seen the movie for a while, but she basically tells him that everything, like, she just has weird random words, and you're like he's not getting them. And then he's finally having this sequence back. She's like, tell Jesse, Jesse's his brother, tell Jesse to swing away. And he's like, okay, I'll tell Jesse to swing away. Like, babe, he's not in baseball anymore, but he thinks these are her dying words. And, like, she basically tells, like, the daughter, like, it's okay that you're like this. It's okay. Just be strong. I love you. And, like, tell the son he'll get over his issues, but just accept yourself. Basically, it's something like that. Like, accept that everything is happening for a reason. And so, in this sequence where the alien comes in the house, it's attacking them, and there's just one alien, and because they're trying to kill him, and it's the one that they injured before, because these aliens have been coming back, so they have, like, a scorn against him, and he steals the son. And the alien's big thing is they can infect people through, like, an airway. They can infect people, and basically people die. So they stole his son, who has asthma, and they figured out that the alien's one weakness is water, and Jesse's bat is hanging in the living room with a room full of water cups. And he's like, swing away, Jesse.
Oh my gosh.
Still. Yeah, am I still?
Yeah, you're good.
So the main scene is literally, like, Mel Gibson being like, holy cow, my wife died for a reason. She died to give me this message that when these aliens come, we will survive because of how and who we are. And so basically they save the whole family because Jesse, his brother, beats the hell out of this alien with water cups and a bat. And his son, who was poisoned, he's, like, literally holding his son. He's like, I know he didn't breathe. He didn't breathe it in. He's fine. He didn't breathe it in. And, like, you're waiting. And And then all of a sudden, he's like, breathe, breathe, baby, breathe. And he's like, and he's like, he's alive, everyone's alive. And they figure out, like, just use water against the aliens, and the Earth is 75% water. So everybody survives because they figure out the Earth is not a good place for them because they get burned by water. So, stupid. But it was so, like, it was great. And you're, like I said, it's slow, and you're like, ugh. Like, oh, it's this stupid scene again. We've already seen his wife dying. We get it. She's dead. But, like, each time you get a little bit more. And one thing that I think is kind of cool with M. Night Shyamalan, he's in this movie. He's the guy who killed the wife. So he hit her with a car. So he comes to the house, to the preacher's house, because, again, sorry, I'm kind of, like, jumping around a little bit, but Mel Gibson used to be the church preacher, and he lost all faith because of what happened to his wife. He's like, preacher, I'm so sorry that what I did, and he's trying to, like, make amends, and you're like, who is this guy? And then I'm like, oh my gosh, that's the director. But it was really cool. I love this movie. I haven't seen it in forever. I was very afraid of it as a kid because it's aliens, and I did not like aliens. But it's worth the watch. And all the things that, the little threadings that really connect through this movie make you fight for them. Like, you're at the end, you're like, go, Jesse, go, kill him, Jesse. Like, that's the type of movie I like, is when, like, there's a problem. It's a thriller. You get into it.
Yeah. So basically, it's kind of one of those movies where it's not as, I guess, heavily storyline or heavily, I guess, CGI animated as, say, Aliens was, but still one of those movies where it has a story that is indeed, captivating, where it does find a way to get your attention and make you realize, hey, there's extraterrestrial life out there. There is life outside of Earth, and sometimes they're not always friendly, but other times it's like, hey, they're cool. Or just scary movie. Nope, we're not going into that one.
No, it's definitely a high, storyline is the best part about it. So, and I think a lot of alien movies doesn't have good storyline. They have aliens are attacking, da-da-da. You're like, oh, okay. That's the whole plot. But this was literally a threaded plot line braided into the most exaggerant braid you can do, because every little piece had a meaning. Every person that came into this film had a reason, and you were supposed to figure out why they were there. And that was the cool part. And that was the ending, was like, holy shit. So all that stuff meant something. That's awesome.
Okay, so it's kind of like a thriller mystery deal where, like you said, you're basically watching this. You're kind of, on the edge of your seat. You're kind of enjoying this. You're also realizing, oh, this is why this person's here. Okay, so there's a reason behind. It's not one of those movies where it's like, you have so many of these people coming in here. In the end, you're just like, what was the point of them being in here in the first place? It's literally like, oh, okay, so this, this character was here to provide motivation. This character was here to, talk about this. Mel Gibson was here to basically pick up a bat and hit some water in aliens' faces. Fair enough.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
Well, I mean, it's better than being a, chicken and basically lying about the fact that he could fly, so. And the fact is that Chicken Run is getting a sequel. I know it's an offbeat deal, but it's one of those things where it's like, we're talking about Mel Gibson. Wonderful. Just absolutely wonderful.
I guess he's coming back. He's making a comeback. I saw another one of his films. He had a really weird time where he was pretty anti-Semitic and everything. You're like, whoa, what did he just say about the Jews? Like, excuse me?
Q, Passion of the Christ. No, that's too extreme.
Like,
that's
shut this mother up.
Oh,
like,
my.
And it's one of those, like, I feel like a lot of actors, we kind of talked a little bit about this with Johnny Depp. They're some of the main actors that you really liked or could be totally crappy people, and that sucks.
They would literally be dicks, basically, is what you're saying. Just she's trying to keep it PG here, and I'm basically just ready to be like, oh yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if it's like dicks or if it's like, whoa, you are not a good person. Like I almost think like a dick can be somebody that's like, ha ha ha, you suck, and this guy is like, oh, by the way, Jews should all die, and you're like, what? What? Did he? What? That's not a dick. That's just like an awful person. Like you are. He's an awful person, sir. Are you? What were you rooting for Hitler? I don't know. Like, what was this? What is this? And so like, that's just another like he went off the handle. And I know he had drug issues and he got arrested for like beating his wife and all this crazy stuff. And now he's coming back, and you're like, I'm not gonna like you, but it's like that fine line of, do I want to see stuff that looks good, and will I not support it just because a crazy guy is in it? It's one of those hard things. I think that a lot of people deal with, like, oh wow, this guy, like for an example, House of Cards. A lot of people really love that series, House of Cards, and then they're like, oh snap, Kevin Spacey molested little boys. Am I not allowed to watch that anymore? But it's such a crazy thing, and it's like, well, he got fired, so he's not in it anymore. They're not making it anymore. But should you still watch it? Should you still support it? Should you blame the whole series for some dumb thing that one of their actors did? Like, it's very interesting, and maybe it's another topic we need to talk about.
Yeah, it's kind of funny you say all these things, because I think this definitely does seem to be the perfect segue for the next movie that I'm going to talk about for M Night Shyamalan. And this is one of those movies that people said, oh, this is the movie where he's going to make his comeback. He's doing really good as a director. He's starting to get that mojo back. And that is the movie The Visit. Not to be confused with the same movie that came out that year, and it's a Nigerian film. I looked at that and I thought, wait, there's a Nigerian film called The Visit? What is this? Romantic comedy. Yeah, definitely not the same one M Night Shyamalan produced. Basically, to kind of start off on this, the poster is absolutely captivating, because basically the promotional poster they had for this, it basically just almost looks like one of those things where it's like nicely knitted, like you would get from a grandparent, and it says Grandma's Rules. 1, have a great time. 2, eat as much as you want. 3, don't ever leave your room after 9:30 p.m. Yeah, there's kind of one of those things where people wish that they didn't leave their rooms at 9:30. Now, first of all, I will say this, that it starts off kind of as a movie that you kind of expect. It's kind of normal, but then they transition that into a found footage kind of deal. And honestly, I'm almost to the point I've just had it with found footage deals, because it's like, okay, they've done Blair Witch Project. They've done Paranormal Activity. They've done The Gallows, which honestly I had high expectations for, and it let me down immensely. Then I see this movie, and I'm like, oh, great, we get to watch this. Oh, boy, this is going to be amazing. This is going to just blah. Already my expectations are pretty low. Leaving from it, it definitely exceeds my expectations, like at least fivefold. I won't say tenfold, because that would be the last movie that I have on this list. But with The Visit, it's one of those movies where it definitely does freak you out. It is, as it's basically promoted, it's a found footage horror film. 2 kids are basically going to meet their grandparents, and they've never met their grandparents before until this moment here. So already you're thinking, okay, this could be kind of intriguing. And then you kind of see that the grandparents are not exactly normal. I mean, there's a grandpa goes out into the shed and nobody knows why. And basically he's telling, don't go to the basement because there's mold down there. Okay. The grandmother, she seems very nice, but every single time it's like she has this alone moment with her granddaughter. She basically is saying like, "Oh, can you just clean the oven? Can you clean the oven?" It's one of those things where it's like, "Am I witnessing like a live action Hansel and Gretel right here?" This just seems so weird. And there actually came a moment where she did kind of close it, and I'm like, "Oh God, it is." But then she opened it, and it's like, "Just making sure that everything's okay. I forgot that you were in there." I'm like, "Oh my God, this. Oh God, are they seriously? They're going down this route. Oh no." And then they find out later on from the mom, who, Mother of the Year, by the way, she decides to go on a vacation with her new beau after getting divorced. She basically says, that's not your grandparents. And basically, they find out that the real grandparents have been killed, and that the two that are there, saying that they are grandparents, they're basically people that probably escaped from a mental institution. Why we say that? Well, there's a lot of random moments where we see Grandma being a little kooky, and she's doing like this deal where she tries to eat one of the kids, and then the grandpa basically tries to rub his feces on the kid's face, and I'm literally like, "Oh God, I'm so uncomfortable. This is not. No, just no." No, this is my skin is crawling at everything that's going on with this movie. And then it's one of those things where I look at the back of my head, I'm like, they're old people, why are they getting, okay, they're killed. I mean, yay, because they're horrible people, but at the same time, they're the elderly, so what really is accomplished here? But it has kind of a very interesting, kind of heartwarming ending with a major question mark, because during this time, basically, the daughter has a sit-down interview with her mom, basically asking, what happened? Why haven't you talked to, basically your parents for so long? And she basically talks about, like, the last time that I talked to them, I struck my mom, and my dad struck me, so I basically ran off. And she ends the movie with this line of, "Don't hold any resentment towards your dad." It's kind of one of those things where it's like, okay, this is kind of a weird twist, but at the same time, it's very interesting, because also during this interview, she mentions how if she had the chance, she would actually have loved to reconcile and to have a better relationship with her parents had given the chance. So it's kind of one of those things where it's like, okay, so she's talking about this dark past that she had, but she would have loved to at least had a better relationship with her parents, which is understandable, and basically telling about how don't hold any resentment towards your dad just because of one bad thing. It's kind of one of those things where it's like, okay, this kind of is one of those really good movies where it definitely does make your skin crawl, but the ending is one of those things that kind of is an interesting twist, because it kind of has a weird, kind of heartfelt deal towards it. Like, I know a lot of people are definitely hardened when they're talking to certain people where it's just like, no, I'm not talking to this person, not talking to this person, but just because they did one bad thing doesn't exactly make them a horrible person. So it's kind of one of those movies where, like I said, it's definitely a horror. It's definitely one of those things where I'm glad I've only watched it once. But it's one of those movies where at the end you kind of watch that footage of her and her mom doing the interview. It's like, wow, they kind of ended on a weirdly heartwarming deal. Wow. Shyamalan, you definitely surprised me. This was actually pretty good. I like I said, I'm only going to watch this movie once, and once was enough for me. And if somebody says like, "Oh, we're going to watch The Visit," I'm like, "Nope, I'm leaving. I'm not watching this again."
A lot of his movies, I feel like, are kind of that way. Of, all right, I saw it.
I guess I should probably bring this up. So it grossed about $98.5 million and got a 65% on Rotten Tomatoes. So it was definitely well received. And like I said, it was one of those movies that a lot of people looked at and think, oh, this is where M Night Shyamalan's going to get his mojo back and everything's going to work very well. So far, so good, honestly. I mean, after this comes a really good hard hitter, but we'll get into that later.
Like 10 years, almost from his last good movie, because I think my last one came out in 2000, the other one was 2002, and I think he started sucking like around 2005, so it took 10 years to get this one, because this is 2015.
Okay, with Lady in the Water. Okay.
Yeah.
Ironically enough, she brings in Bryce Dallas. What's her name? Now I have to pull up the name again. Oh, Bryce Dallas Howard, from who would soon be known as the woman from the Jurassic World movies. And
Yeah, she was in The Village, too.
yeah, it's crazy. It's
She
kind of one of
was
those
the
things.
one girl in The Village.
And she was also Gwen Stacy in Spider-Man 3. And honestly, she...
But I just mean, like, he uses his actors again, so he liked her.
Yeah. And again, Gwen Stacy, always going to be Emma Stone. She was amazing. So, sorry, Bryce, but you kind of had a low bar. I'm sorry, but you appeared in Spider-Man 3. Anyway, sorry. So, anything to add on that, or are we on to your final movie?
No, I think we're on to the final movie.
All right. What do you got?
And obviously, I had to pick, I think, the movie that started it all, which is The Sixth Sense. And,
Yes.
I mean, it was literally, I feel like it was his breakout movie. Like, people to this day, like, if you say, I see dead people, they know. Like, you're like, oh my God, The Sixth Sense. And you're like, yeah, it is. They're like, whoa, crazy. So, this one, like we already spoke about, has Bruce Willis. And it starts with a very intimate, crazy scene of, like, Bruce Willis coming home with his wife, and they had a great night out, and, you know, they're heading to the bedroom, and then they're like, oh, and you know that he's a doctor, Bruce Willis is a doctor, and they have a very nice house in, I believe it was in New York, Manhattan, and they're about to, you know, kind of have a great time in the bedroom when somebody comes out of the bathroom with a gun, and it's one of his patients, and it's a patient that he couldn't help. Like, he was older, he was a little boy, and he struggled with stuff that Bruce Willis was like, I couldn't help him. And he basically, the guy shoots him. And then it's like, oh, ever since then, he's had a real struggle in his relationships and his practice, and just everything is so much harder. And I believe it was about a year after is when we really get into the movie. Like, you see that scene where the boy is, like, kind of crazy. Like, he's crazy. He's like, no, I can't get it to stop. You didn't help me. You didn't help me. And he's like, whoa, 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 it's okay. I'll help you. You're fine. Everything's okay. And he shoots Bruce Willis, and he shoots himself in the head. And then it's like a year later, and you're like, whoa, okay. And Bruce Willis is kind of like basically explaining that, yeah, it's been really hard. My wife and me don't really connect anymore, and yada, yada. And finally, he gets a new patient who is very similar to the kid. Like, you find out that they have a lot of similarities to the kid that shot him. And the kid is like, he sees things that aren't there. So he's like, okay, like, but it's not real. It's not real. You're fine. It's not real. He's like, but they feel real. And they seem real. And I see them like they're real. And it scares me. And, like, it's a kid who has a single mom, and he gets bullied at school, and he's really small, and just not a good. And Bruce Willis is like, okay, I want to help this kid because I didn't get to help the last kid, and he killed himself. So I want to help this kid. So it goes through the story of this boy seeing these things that are just horrid, like people that are dead, and people that have, like basically kind of visit him in very, like, anxious situations. Like, for us, for the viewer, you're always like, you hear the music and you're like, oh gosh, a ghost is coming. Like, that's how I was like, when I was watching it. It's like, you're like, oh no, a ghost is here. You know, a ghost is here. And, like, the kid, like, he starts breathing heavily, and the temperature goes down. And he's basically getting blamed for the things the ghosts do in his house. So, like, one of the ghosts, like freaks out in the kitchen trying to find a knife, like, and is opening everything and throwing things around, and the mom comes out and she's like, Cole, what are you doing? He's sitting in a chair crying. And then she's like, what are you doing? What is going on? Wait, I gotta wait to see until all right, am I back?
Yes, you're good.
Okay. And so, like, she's, like, kind of screaming at him, but at the same time, she sees her son's, like, crying and, like, frightened. She's like, what's wrong? What's wrong? And then you see behind her, she's like, you gave me these scars. A ghost is, like, cut her wrists all up with this knife that she found in his house. And he's just looking at her and, like, crying. And you're, like, you as the viewer, you're like, oh, my gosh, like, this poor kid, like, and it's scary. Like, the ghosts, all the ghosts, they don't look scary. But the music and the loudness that they are, and, like, you know, the blood, like, they never have, like, really messed up faces. But you're just, like, always really, I was always really afraid. And I watched it recently this year, and I was like, oh, it still kind of scares me, even though you know they're not, like, they're normal. They look normal. They just, like, and you're like, whoa, okay, calm down. And so finally, like, the kid, you know, gets hospitalized and stuff, and Bruce Willis goes, he's his therapist, and he's like, I need to, like, help, like, I need to let you know, like, what is going on with you, kid? And he's like, I see dead people. Like, he's like, the things I see are dead people. He's like, I see them everywhere. Everywhere. They're always trying to talk to me. They're always coming up to me. And so Bruce Willis is, like, he didn't believe him. And then he started researching on his patient that shot him and on Cole, his new kid. And he's like, you can kind of hear things in the background of the video. He's like, oh my gosh, what if these, like, I've always thought these kids are crazy. What if I go with it? What if they're not crazy? And so he kind of goes with Cole and is like, okay, well, why do you think they visit you? He's like, I think they want to hurt me. He's like, have they ever hurt you? He's like, no. He's like, then maybe they want something from you. So maybe instead of running away, maybe you should listen to them. And so, like, it comes out where, like, this one girl that has been kind of visiting him, he's always really afraid and runs away from her. And finally, like, he sits and he talks to her and he figures out that she was murdered by her stepmom, and he's like, he wants to go to the funeral. He's like, I need to go to the funeral. I know something. And he's able to show a videotape, like, that the girl saved to the family and kind of call out the dad, or not the dad, call out the stepmom. And the dad watches it and he's like, you were poisoning my daughter? And her younger sister was getting sick too. He's like, and you're poisoning my other daughter? And then, like, it shows that Cole is helping by listening to these people. And he's like, wow, like, I didn't know I could help people through speaking to dead people, and it's getting him better. And he's like, I think once they're better, they leave. And Bruce Willis is like, wow, that's great. And he's like, maybe I should try to talk to my mom, my wife again at night, or maybe I should try to do this, because he's had an issue with his wife this whole movie. And then he finally does. He tries to talk at night, like how Cole talks to the ghosts. And she's like, I just wish you never left. And he's like, baby, I'm here. I'm right here. And then she, like, starts getting really cold. And you're like, what? And then all of a sudden, like, he's reviewing what happened that night, and he got shot and he died. And so he's been dead the whole movie, and the reason we see him and everything he does, like, everything makes sense. The wife not responding to him, the wife taking his wedding ring and putting it somewhere different, and all this stuff that's gone on, and no one else talks to him. The only person who's ever talked to him the whole movie was Cole, and Cole can see dead people. And he figured out that he had to help Bruce Willis come to terms with him being dead, and what Bruce Willis needed to do before he was sent off, was help Cole overcome what he was dealing with, unlike what he did with the other kid who killed himself. So it was crazy. It was like, whoa, he's been dead the whole time, what? And it's just such a twist that you're like, holy shit. And it was so good. And it's still good to this day. Like, I can watch The Sixth Sense and still appreciate the twist. Like, I know the twist, and I still am like, it was just so well done that it's one of the best thrillers that has ever come out.
Oh, jeez Louise. Yeah, that's some very, very heavy stuff. It is one of the reasons why I think a lot of people say this is one of M Night Shyamalan's best works. And I think it also does have to deal with the fact that there's that major twist at the end. This is where people started realizing, oh, this is the kind of director that he's going to be. He's going to have this major twist where it's like, oh, he's going down that route. That didn't happen. But honestly, if I was watching it for the first time, I would be thinking the same thing that, like, well, he's alive. It's totally fine. It's totally fine. And then just that scene where you do see, his wife is in the chair and it's kind of like, why isn't he? Oh, that sucks. It's literally one of those things where it just kind of tears your heart up a bit, thinking, wow, so this is like the ultimate tease for this guy. He's literally going through hell, realizing that he can't, talk to his wife anymore. He can't do that because of, obviously, his patient. But I think that, during this time, he's also realizing he can do more. He can actually help more, especially with Cole. So,
well, he just had to do one. Like, all the ghosts that are there for one reason, and Cole has to figure out why.
Wow.
And the reason Bruce Willis was there was he needed to help Cole realize that. And that's why he stayed on Earth. Like, once they realized it, I'm not 100% sure if they show him leaving, but he does leave, and then he's able to, move on. And that's kind of what all the ghosts are trying to do, is to move on.
Man, that is crazy. Whew.
Yeah, it's a great movie. It's definitely, if you have not seen that movie, it's worth watching, especially if you like things like that. If you like M. Night Shyamalan, you need to go see his best work, which is The Sixth Sense. And I think that everybody would agree. If you are an M. Night Shyamalan fan, that is his best work. And it was probably because it was his first, and he can't really go from there. Like, it's just such a twist, and you weren't expecting the twist. And so now it's like, if you see an M. Night Shyamalan movie, you're kind of like, it's probably going to be a twist.
Right. So, obviously, I can't say that that's his best work because I haven't seen it yet, but it might change my mind. We'll see. Because as far as like best work that I think that he's done was one of the recent movies that he directed and did an absolutely amazing job. Talked about it last week, how literally me and my friend Max were basically just looking at each other throughout the movie like, what's going on here? What? And there just comes so many moments where I'm like, I don't know whether I'm going to hate this movie or love this movie, but I'm really invested in it right now. That is the movie Split, featuring my boy James McAvoy and a special appearance by none other than himself, Bruce Willis, at the very end. So basically what the story entails is a guy by the name of Kevin Wendell Crumb, a man who's suffering from a deal called dissociative identity disorder or multiple personality disorder. He is basically battling these personalities that are inside of him, and unfortunately 3 of which are kind of in control, and there's a 4th one at the very end who definitely does really just make this into a very thrilling movie. Kevin unfortunately abducts 3 girls, and during this time deals with these 3 girls deal with the 3 main personalities that Kevin has. Dennis, Patricia, and Hedwig. Literally, Dennis is kind of like represents kind of like the creepy side, where basically he is just hoping for the touch of a woman. And it definitely goes into a deal where he's basically being described as a guy who likes to see women, dancing naked. It's literally one of those things like, okay, this guy's a little flat out creep. With Patricia, she's kind of more of those. She's kind of like a classy person, but she is kind of stuck up, and she is still kind of like almost like the leader. And with Hedwig, he's almost kind of like this innocent kid that thinks that he's, doing the right thing because he's helping out his quote-unquote friends, Patricia and Dennis. So during this time, one of the girls, Casey, befriends Hedwig. The other two girls are trying everything they can to just escape from this guy. They think that he's an absolute lunatic, but Casey kind of befriends Hedwig, one of the personalities, into trying to help find a way to get out. Hedwig is just basically thinking like, oh, I have a new friend. One thing I will absolutely love from this movie is when the Hedwig character comes out and he's literally just looking at Casey, just saying like, hey, it's okay if I kiss you. I wanted to kiss one of the other girls, but they don't seem to really like me that much. And literally Casey's just kind of scared, but she's also trying to befriend, like I said, Hedwig, and just say like, no, it's fine. And they do like this random deal where it's not even like a kiss. It's literally like his face is frozen. There's like no lip movement whatsoever. It's so funny, and he follows it up by saying the phrase, "I think you might be pregnant." I'm literally on the ground laughing so hard. Like, he literally is playing a 9-year-old kid where he's basically does not know any concept of sex, no concept of anything. I absolutely loved it. Later on during the deal, they talk a lot about this 24th character, which is the Beast. Basically somebody who's going to just clean the world of everybody who has just, wronged it and stuff like that. It's absolutely crazy. And during this whole deal, Kevin is also going to a therapist where basically she's trying to help him find himself, just trying to get back to what he's trying to get. She's trying to get Kevin back. Because obviously, she's talking to all these other characters, whether it's another character by the name of Barry, Dennis, Patricia, Hedwig. She's trying to basically find Kevin and bring him back. And one of the ways they're trying to do that is to say his full name. So during the movie, unfortunately, the therapist dies, and Casey says the full name, and we actually see a moment where Kevin actually comes out, and he's basically asking, where am I? Who are you? This is still like this area in like 2010, right? And Casey unfortunately has to tell the bad news of, no, this is not what you think it is. And basically Kevin's just saying like, well, I never realized what I have to do. You have to kill me in order for this to stop. And then we see, of course, a lot of these personalities, they keep coming back out. Some are basically saying like, don't do it. It's just absolutely crazy how it works. And then we see the Beast come back. And I had a hard time figuring out why this happened, because this was a pivotal moment for me during the movie as to why he calls Casey pure. But basically, the Beast is hunting down Casey, and she ends up just taking her sweater off, and under her sweater there are these scars from times where she was cutting herself. And I'll read you what it says here on Wikipedia here. So basically, but also there's a bit of a background in which Casey had a little bit of an experience with an uncle. I'm going to let that sink in just for a little bit, and what you expect has probably happened. It happened. They didn't show it, thank God, but it was one of those things where it was assumed. So let's just leave it at that. So basically what it says here, it says the Beast finds her and is about to pull the bars open to attack her, but sees faded scars across her body, a sign of her past emotional turmoil and self-harm. Having previously declared his plans to rid the world of the untouched, those whose hearts are impure because they have never suffered in their lives. He considers Casey to be pure and spares her, disappearing from the tunnels. So literally, like I said before the show, she experiences so much more of life. And it's one of those things where it's like the Beast can somehow relate to her. She can understand the turmoil and everything that she's gone through. So she considers that to be pure instead of how a lot of other people are looking at it as more damaged goods, we can call it. And of course, later on, we basically get the deal where where basically we get Dennis, Patricia, and Hedwig. They're basically they're just talking to each other, removing bullets from their body, and basically talking about how the Beast is going to change the world. And this is where it gets really interesting, ladies and gentlemen, because this is part 2 of the trilogy. There's a diner scene where basically they're talking about who Kevin is, and even gave him the nickname the Horde because of the fact of him having so many personalities. And then somebody in that diner is basically talking about how there was also like this crazy guy that was there. What was that name? And the person next to him says, Mr. Glass. And we see that it's David Dunn that is right next to her. So literally people are just freaking out like, oh my god, that's Bruce Willis. He's from Unbreakable. And then we hear the rumors about basically getting a crossover, and now we're here at this point where it's absolutely amazing. Anyway, so
it's very interesting. It definitely is like I enjoy that they're doing their own idea of a superhero, supervillain, thriller, cool movie. I think it's really cool.
It's legitimately, like I said, one of the best movies that I've seen, and one of the best works that I think M Night Shyamalan should definitely be proud of. Like I said, this was one of those movies where James McAvoy, he actually had only 1 month before they actually started recording to get into character, to know a lot of these things. And what I love about this movie is the fact that you definitely can tell when a new personality is going to come out. Whether it's from the music, whether it's from his body language, from his tone of voice, he finds a way to really just take that character and make it his own. He definitely finds... I remember one point where the therapist is basically asking for Dennis, and literally Kevin is just standing there just completely blank-faced for about, I want to say 5-7 seconds, where she's saying, can I talk to Dennis? Can I talk to Dennis? And then literally he moves his head and he's saying, it's nice to talk to you again, doctor. And it's like, that's Dennis again. It's legitimately one of those things where it's like, you definitely can tell how McAvoy is just taking this character and he can find a way to just shift it into something completely different. And honestly, a lot of people definitely thought you could expect it from comedians like Jim Carrey or Robin Williams. James McAvoy is a serious character. He doesn't really do that many comedies. So for him to be one of the first serious actors to do that, it just blows my mind how well he's done it. And he succeeds at it very well. So it's one of those things, again, where I'm looking at this Glass trailer and I'm thinking to myself, okay, what else is he going to do? How else is he going to capitalize on this character? And obviously, we're throwing in Unbreakable. So we have, basically the Beast is involved, Mr. Glass is involved, and David Dunn is involved. How are all three of them going to mesh together? I mean, who's going to be the villain? Who's going to be the hero? There's a lot of possibilities to go on with this. And M Night Shyamalan definitely is definitely capturing my attention in the early parts of 2019. But, all right, so have I piqued your interest? Are you definitely interested in watching Split now?
I definitely want to. I just cannot do it at night. Just because it seems like it's going to be a little creepy. But even though, like I said, even The Sixth Sense, I'm a little afraid still. It's still, it's supposed to be. It's a thriller. You're supposed to kind of think about these things and, ooh, what if this happened to you? So I have too great of an imagination to watch it at night alone, but I will watch it. I definitely want to, especially before Glass comes out. But it sounds great. I love James McAvoy. I've always loved him in everything he's done. So I know I would like the movie. It just sounds like, a horror film.
So, bottom line, ladies and gentlemen, when we talk about M. Night Shyamalan, yes, he does have his hits and he does have his misses, but he still creates quite memorable movies. And even though some of these twists are very subtle, some of them might be majorly obvious, it still creates for a different environment when it comes to your movie experience, because you definitely can watch a movie and expect, okay, well, obviously this person is doing this person's doing this. He finds a way to just take that norm and then just completely 180 it and turn it into something that you would think, wow, that actually I never really thought of it like that. Let's explore this a bit more. So definitely not going to be knocking down M. Night Shyamalan, even though some of his movies from like 2000 to 2004 were probably a little bit rough and sketchy. But he definitely does have quite a few really good movies. Definitely go watch it. All right, so with that, we will close it with us talking a little bit about the new trailer that came out for Venom, because honestly, I saw this and I thought to myself, okay, this is, oh my lord, this is going to be, I feel like this is going to turn into like a Marvel thriller, and there's some parts of me that think this might even turn into a Marvel horror movie with the way that they are just creating Venom out to be. You definitely do get more of a feel of what Venom is doing, on how he's taking control of Eddie Brock, which obviously a lot of people look at, and some people are looking at it like, well, that's not like what it was in the comics. Honestly, I'm willing to put my opinion about from the comic books aside to actually look at this perspective right here, because obviously Eddie Brock seems like he's a good person, and during the movie you definitely do see like the symbiote really starting to affect him. It affects his attitude sometimes, but it also really is one of those things where you definitely do see the ruthlessness that the symbiote has. And it's symbiote, not symbiote. Thank you very much. But yeah, I think there's just one scene in particular that definitely stands out where it's like, this could be a horror movie. Because literally, he's basically just talking to this one random guy in a gas station, and all you basically see is him just basically talking about him being Venom. He basically opens his mouth. It goes to black. And then basically you just see this cashier lady just stand there in horror. And then Eddie Brock just stands there and he's just like, totally nothing. Totally nothing. We're all good. We're all good. I was like, so literally this could be one of those situations where the symbiote uses Eddie as a host, but he also still feeds off other people so that way he can still have energy, maybe. That could be the situation. That's kind of one of those things where I'm getting out of it, but I don't know. What did you get out of this trailer?
Well, it definitely looks intense. I think we talked about this before, that it's like, we're kind of like, how are you supposed to do a Venom movie without Spider-Man? Isn't Venom supposed to get his powers, like, from Spider-Man? I don't really remember what's on Venom's chest in this. I don't know if I saw the spider sign. I don't remember. I know we see Venom's, like, chest at a point, so I think that would be something to reevaluate, see if there's a spider on his chest, I'm going to have a problem with it. If they're going with Venom's now part of this universe through another venue, cool, awesome. I think it'll be interesting. I don't think he's a hero. It sounds like he is an anti-hero, which is great. That's what we want. It sounds like Eddie Brock doesn't hate this thing, which I don't think he really ever does. He is kind of that on the edge of, he's not a great person, and so the fact that he has this power that wants to hurt people, he's like, I don't necessarily hate it. You're like, oh shoot. But that's kind of the personality of Eddie Brock. So he's not supposed to be the, Captain America character of moral values. He's I get what I want when I want. And if it happens to align with what the cops want, okay, all right. We're all good. Otherwise, not a great guy. Hey, Venom looks cool. The CGI looks great. He looks really awesome. I haven't seen any spider slinging. I've seen him being able to transform his body, and like this one had like axes and stuff. So it looks really cool. It looks good. I just always have to, have that red flag that this is not the Marvel universe. This is not the MCU of Disney. This is going to be the MCU of really Sony.
Sony, yes.
Yeah, Sony owns Venom. So we just have to take it with a grain of salt. Like, I want to be excited for it, but I also know that I do not want people to be like, wait, where's Spider-Man? Or wait a second, why wasn't this happy-go-lucky? Like, it's not, it's going to be different. It's going to be different, and I don't want anyone to throw the MCU Disney expectations at it. I would want you to throw what you expect out of the Spider-Mans before. That's kind of the level that I'm expecting it to be. And that's where you should think of it until it surpasses you, if it does. Kind of like Wonder Woman. I don't think I talked very positively about it until it came out. It's like, okay, I'm not going to expect it to be awesome. I'm going to expect it to be how DC movies have been. And if it's going to be awesome, then I'm going to be excited. But if you're going to already think it's awesome because the trailer was cool, you're going to be disappointed.
Yeah, I'm hoping that it is one of those movies that is almost like Wonder Woman, where you're just like, it looks awesome. I still have my skepticism, though, and it definitely, you watch it within, like, maybe the first 10 minutes, and it's like, okay, skepticism's good. We're good. Open mind. Let's just enjoy this movie. But we'll find out in October. It's already almost, it's almost like 2 months away. That's absolutely insane. So we still have quite a bit to get through, though. October, I see. But
yeah, but it's already August now. Like, what's
yeah. It's already, like, over a halfway of the new year. Jeez Louise.
Crazy.
It felt like just yesterday we were doing the Oscars, and now we blinked and we had dreams and nightmares, and we think, okay, we're already in August, so that means the white stuff is coming. Great, yay! I know I'm a horrible person for mentioning the S word, but I'm just going through reality, guys. I'm sorry. So, with that being said, I think we can call this an episode. It was absolutely amazing because we talked about M Night Shyamalan. We talked about some of the things that are going on with theater stuff, as well as Venom. And yeah, I think we are good. So, Victory Bell, do you have any big events that are coming up or anything crazy that you'd like to talk about?
No, I don't think so. I think, I guess next week I'm going to be doing the D&D campaign again, and we'll see where my character goes. I don't know if anyone's following that, but I play D&D now, and it's gotten pretty intense. Our characters are in quite a debacle. so I have fun. I have a lot of fun with that. So we always share it on Twitch. So if you are following it, then yeah, this Wednesday is going to be another adventure in the Underdark.
All right, well, we will definitely have a link for that on our Facebook fan page, guys, so you can definitely check that out on Twitch, because it sounds like an absolutely fun time. Be sure to check out Victory Bell on our Facebook fan page. Be sure to check us out on our Facebook fan page, as well as follow me on Twitter. And be sure to give us a like and a comment and whatever you want here on Spreaker.com. There's a lot more August to go, you guys, and we are just getting started. It's already day 2 of August, and there's going to be a lot more announcements, a lot more guests. Definitely do not want to miss out on that. So, for Victory Bell, I've been Nate the Effing Great. You've been listening to The Game Changer. We will talk to you guys in the next episode. We are indeed the fire. Let's start the flame, and let's start a revolution. See you guys.
Bye.
Fire doesn't burn all the way through. Entire forests